We give praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yahuwah by Hashem Yahusha this day. And we'll look at John 5 and 39. Excuse me. Where's my bottle at? This for our brother Keontae in Alabama, because he said he always see me drinking nothing but water. So we got some aloe vera juice for him this time. He asked me a couple days ago, did I drink anything else besides water? And I don't. Besides, unless you count milk.
Yeah.
And it says, search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. And you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Alahym in you. He said, you ain't got the love of Alahym in you. You need to search it. He said, it's all about him. Let's look at Ezekiel 43 and 1. He said the whole thing about him. Oh, this ain't got no pulp in it. That sucks. Ezekiel 43 and 1. Afterwards he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looked towards the east. And behold, the esteem of the Alahym of Yashar'al came from the way of the east. And his voice was like the noise of many waters, and the earth shined with his esteem. So we need to look at that. He said he brought me to the gate. Matter of fact, let me read verse 3, set the stage a little better. And it says, and it was according to the appearance of the vision which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. No. And it was according to the appearance of the vision which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. And the visions were like the vision that I saw by the river Chebar, and I fell upon my face. And the esteem of Yahuwah came into the house by way of the gate, whose prospect is towards the east. Does anybody know what he means when he says it's like the vision that he's seen by Chebar? Y'all know what that is? Y'all know what vision that is? What he talking about? Let's look at Ezekiel chapter 1 so you can see the vision that he had by Chebar. He said even the vision that he had to destroy the city. Chebar means far off. It's a Babylonian river. That's what it means. He said by the river that's afar off. Ezekiel chapter 1 and 1. We done went over this Ezekiel chapter 1 before. I can't think the name of the video is as the appearance of a bow that is in the cloud, or something of that nature. So when he say he's seen it the same way, the vision that he saw when he was destroying the city, he's getting the same vision again. The vision that he was receiving is the return of Yahusha HaMashiach. And we will look at that and verify that according to the word, that this is what he has seen. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, I was among the captives by the river Chebar, that Shamahim were opened, and I saw visions of Alahym. And in the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Yelkim's captivity. Now hold this right here. He say he's seen this by the river that's afar off. Let me look at something. Let me see what I want this here. Go to Jeremiah chapter 30, if I'm not, chapter 33. Hold this Ezekiel chapter 1 and look at Jeremiah chapter 33. Let me see if that's where I want it, what I'm thinking about. I don't think it's there. My apologies. It's Jeremiah 31 is what I'm thinking about. Hello? Hello? 31 and 16. Shalom. Yeah, Jeremiah 31 and 16. I'm looking at a verse. I'm going to go ahead and deal with it because I'm looking at it. Verse says, thus saith Yahuwah, refrain thy voice from weeping and thy eyes from tears. For thy work shall be rewarded, saith Yahuwah. Thou shalt come again from the land of the enemy. Now you got to understand something. When you look at Ezekiel saying that he's seen the vision of the city that was being destroyed, The same vision that he's seen when he was by the river Chebar. This is the vision that he's seen in the 43rd chapter. Now I'm looking at something real fast, and I'm going to see if it's going to fit to what we talk about before I mention it. Because I see people mention this verse all the time, and they mess it up all the time. And since I'm looking at it, I want to go ahead and hit it right now, but I don't know if we should go ahead and do it. I don't know if we should go ahead and do it. Give me a second. If I was in the right chapter of this Hebrew word I'm looking up, we might have been able to make something happen. Because I know what it's telling me. Yep. I think I'll be able to work that in. I'm going to hold off. So, he says to sit back and that you'll return from the land of your enemy. You know, he even, verse 17, he said, there is hope in thy end, saith Yahuwah, that thy children shall come again to their own border. That they will come again to their own border. Now let's go back and look at Ezekiel chapter 1 yet again, because you far off. He's by the river. He's in Babylon in captivity at the river of far off. You far off right now. You in a strange land. He told one of the kings, he said, don't weep for that. He said, you need to weep for him that won't see his native country again. Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 3. The word of Yahuwah came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of Chaldeans, by the river Chebar. By the hand of Yahuwah was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and their appearance, and this was their appearance, they had the likeness of a man. Everyone had 4 faces, and everyone had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Now, we're just going to look at that, just to look at that burnished brass part. We're not going to touch all the animals right now, because we be dealing with something totally different. But we could tie that into the master. We're just not going to do that right now. We're going to stay on task. So when we look at burnished, there's the word kalal, and it just means to be burnished or polished. So you know what it is, to polish something. And let's just see what brass, and what do we have here? Nekosheth, and that is copper or bronze. Just doing that for a reason. Reason why we doing like that for a reason, you know why we doing it like that for a reason. Revelation 1 and 13, and then Revelation 2 and 17. So he say he see out of this vision an appearance of the likeness of a man. And remember, Ezekiel 43 say he see him coming from the east gate. We'll go look at who you see on the east gates, and then try to get an understanding about these east gates. But let's take it one step at a time. Revelation 1 and 13. That's just for anybody who say the master ain't black. He say he seen this, he said in this vision, he seen him like burnished brass. That's why I be tripping when these dudes be having their little pictures of Nathaniel Selman and all that there. You don't need all that there. The book, if you can't see the visual of burnished brass in your head, you ain't never going to see it. Man, this sucks. This ain't got no pope in it, man. And in the midst of the 7 candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, girded about the paps with a golden girdle. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. That is the same thing that Ezekiel say he heard, that the man's voice sounded like many waters. He said this man's feet like fine brass too. Again, now remember, what Ezekiel seen in 43, he said this is the same thing he seen in chapter 1. Same thing. He said, I'm getting the same vision. I am seeing the same thing. Seeing nothing different. Seeing absolutely nothing different. He is seeing the return of Hamashiach. Now let's look at the master and just see two witnesses. Because John bare witness that he was brass. So let's look at Revelation 2 and 18. And let's just see if Hamashiach bear witness to meet John. We won't go read about that what Daniel say. Because Ezekiel say he seen polished brass. And Ezekiel say this is the same thing I seen in the first chapter. He's seeing Yahushua come back. John seeing this man standing in the midst of 7 candlesticks. He say this is what he saw. Let's see if the master back up what they saw. And unto the Alahym of the house in Thyatira, right? These things saith the son of Alahym, who have his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet are like fine brass. And ain't that something that Ezekiel say a calf's foot? Why is that important that he see it as a calf's foot when you also read about bullocks and all these things being offered? Let's look at Hebrews 9 and 14, why he see it like a calf's foot. I seen some brother, they were arguing about, oh, Yahuwah don't take no animal sacrifice. And we like Yahusha, no human sacrifice, like Yahusha wasn't a human sacrifice. The man say, sacrifice and offerings thou would not, but a body thou have prepared for me. This is what we were trying to get them to understand. Because death came in the world by a man, to remove death, a man had to come and take it away. See, they got to sit back and know the law. He say, whoever spills man's blood by blood, he say, by man must his blood be shed. This is Genesis 9 and 6. So if by man death came into the world, then by man death has to be removed by man. This is a simple concept if you know the law. They say Yahushua came and took away eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He ain't came and take away nothing. He just told you to go ahead and not avenge yourself because y'all were going haywire. People hadn't even done nothing to you. You want to kill somebody. Matter of fact, make it 9 and 11. Hebrew 9 and 11. See why he's now. Of course, we know a calf is a male, is a young male, and not a heifer. But follow what we're talking about. Why he's sitting back and he's seeing this bovine's foot. But Mashiach becoming a high priest of good things to come by a greater and more perfect tabernacle, not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building, neither by the bloods of goats and of calves, but by his own blood that entered into once into the Kadesh place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of a heifer sprinkling the unclean sanctified to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Mashiach, who through the eternal Ruach offered himself without spot to Alahym, purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living Alahym. There's a reason why he see these calf feet, they look like burning brass, because he's sitting back and you seeing that eternal sacrifices that was made to purge your conscience from dead works. That's why he sees it in this fashion. When we actually sit back and Most High willing, maybe we'll catch it towards the end of this week. And you see all these different animals. Hello? 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 When you see all these different animals, they're representative of certain things of Mashiach. Knowing that bullocks and calves were the purging of sin, he's coming in this fashion because when you see that, because when he steps there, he's the representation of that offering and sacrifice. As we talked about last week, not the literal offering and sacrifices of bulls and goats. Let's come back to Ezekiel chapter 1. We're in verse 8. He said they had on their hands, they had the hands of a man under their wings and on their four sides. And on their they had their faces and their wings. And their wings were joined one to another. They turned not when they went every one straight forward. I'm just setting this up for later in the week, so it'll be staying in your brain. And as for the likeness of their faces, the four had the face of a man, the face of a lion on the right side, and they four had the face of an ox on the left side, and they four had the face of an eagle. All of these things are representative of Mashiach. Hello? All right, let's go on. All of them. You see a man, you see a lion, you see an ox, and you see an eagle. I can tell you, the eagle is represented in Exodus 19. You know where the lion at. I just kind of touched with the ox. But the ox is a whole nother thing, and you know why you see the faces of a man. You know what I'm saying? Truth be told, I just give you a quick synopsis. And then Most High willing, we'll go into greater detail. You know you see in the face of a man because you see in Yahushua HaMashiach. You see in a lion because he's a lion of the tribe of Yehuda, and he's coming back to render vengeance upon the people, because Jeremiah told you that the destroyer of the Gentiles, is the lion is raised up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. You know what I'm saying? You see the ox, because we just read, that's representation of the purging of iniquity and sin. You know what I'm talking about? Like he tell you in Hebrews 9, he appeared the second time without sin unto salvation. And you see the eagle, because he said, I bore you in the eagle's wings and brought you unto myself, or the deliverance and gathering and bringing you into the land for you to rest into safety. This is what Ezekiel is seeing. He is seeing the return of a Mashiach in every single solitary thing that he represents and that he will do upon that return. This is why he referenced back to that, what we started to in Ezekiel 43, because he is seeing that. And then we can actually go back and read where the master will make reference to all of these things with Ezekiel seen in Matthew the 24th chapter. We'll reference that stuff, but we go greater, Yah willing, greater detail as the week go on. So what verse we in? We're in verse 11. Thus were their faces and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings every one were joined one to another. 2 covered their bodies. They went every one straight forward, whither the Ruach was to go. They went. They turned not when they went. See, that goes again with Romans 8 and 14. Whosoever is led by the Ruach of Alahym, they are the sons of Alahym. See, they only went where the Ruach took them. Just like Psalms 37 tell you, the steps of a good man are ordered by Yahuwah. You know what I'm saying? See, you have some people, they're not directed by the Ruach, so they go wherever they want to go. When you sit back and you see him say that, where the Ruach was to go, they went. They turned not when they went. They didn't go their own way. Just like he told you in Proverbs, don't go to the left hand nor to the right, but ponder the path of your feet. You got to ponder the path of your feet and where you going and what is leading you. Because a lot of people claim the Ruach leading them, but you actually leading yourself, because what you're doing is leading you away from Yahuwah and not to him. Sin and disobedience and rebellion and unbelief is not a direction that the Ruach will lead you in. If you believe that, you are simply spiritually retarded and possibly reprobate. Verse 13, as the last for the likeness of the living creatures, their appearance was like the burning coals of fire, as the appearance of lamps. It went up and down among the living creatures. The fire was bright, and out of the fire went forth lightning. And the living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Let's look at Matthew chapter 24. He said when these creatures went up and down, their appearance was like burning coals of fire. We will also, before we even read Matthew chapter 24, let's look at the law. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 4. And then we'll look at Hebrew chapter 12. And then we'll look at Matthew chapter 24. Because he said he's seen this. Ezekiel said the same thing. And we'll reread Ezekiel 43. Go sit down, please. But we got to understand something. He said he's seeing some fire. Because he said the destruction of the city. This is what this man is seeing. So we got to understand, what cities he's seeing destroyed. What city y'all think he's seeing destroyed? That's what he said in Ezekiel 43. No, in Ezekiel 43, what you didn't hear it. So by the time you had got on, so the reason why we're looking at Ezekiel chapter 1, because in 43 he said he saw the esteem of Alahym coming through the east gate. He said, and it said the vision was the destruction of the city, the same vision that I seen by the river Kibar. So that's why we went back, and that's why we're looking at Ezekiel 1, because he referenced the vision that he had already received. So he's saying in this vision he's seeing the destruction of a city. Does anybody have an idea what city he's seeing destroyed? And we're at Deuteronomy 4 and 23, everybody. Well, we'll take a look. Does anybody know what city Ezekiel was in, where he was captive at? He was in Babylon. So what Ezekiel was seeing was the destruction of Babylon. So we'll have to look at Ezekiel 18 and a couple other things to get some understanding on that. I mean, Revelation 18, not Ezekiel 18. Take heed unto yourselves, lest you forget the covenant of Yahuwah your Alahym, which he made with you, and make you a graven image, or the likeness of anything which Yahuwah the Alahym hath forbidden thee. For Yahuwah the Alahym is a consuming fire, even a jealous Alahym. So he's telling you he's a consuming fire. This is what Ezekiel is seeing in this first chapter, a consuming fire. Seeing fire from everything, and it's going to consume everything in its sight.
What verse again?
That was verse 24, but now we're finna go to Hebrews 12 and 27. Make it 26. I'll say, Deidre, that pomegranate and cranberry was straight, but it didn't have no pulp, so that sucked. Really sucked. Hold on. What's up with you, man?
What's up, man?
Chilling. Alright. Hebrews 12 and 26. Whose voice then shook the Arats, but now he hath promised, saying, Yet once more I shake not the Arats only, but also Shamayim. And this word yet once more signify the removing of those things that are shaken, as of the things that are made, that those things which cannot be shaken may remain. Wherefore we receiving a kingdom which cannot be moved, let us have favor whereby we may serve Alahym acceptably with reverence and godly fear. For our Alahym is a consuming fire. This what this man is seeing is a consuming fire in Ezekiel chapter 1. Let's look at Matthew 24 and let's look at what this man said, y'all. We still holding Ezekiel chapter 1 and Ezekiel 43. So I'm just going to reread what we're looking at, what we're coming for in Ezekiel 1. He said he saw fire bright, out of the fire went lightning. Living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of lightning. Also it stated, I think, what do we look at that we read already? To make sure I ain't go over nothing too fast. Well, that was verse 4 what we already read. He said he saw a whirlwind come out of the north. It was a great cloud, and it was a fire enfolding itself. Brightness was about it, and the color of amber came out of the midst of the fire. So we'll look at that and why he see the color of amber or the midst of the fire. We'll break that down in a minute as well. Let's look at Matthew chapter 24. Probably about verse 24. Unless Most High will and make sense of what Ezekiel is seeing. Matthew chapter 24, verse 24. For there shall arise false Mashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Hold on, y'all. Because I could have sworn this thing would fuck up. It is not plugged up. Godly. Don't have time for this. And there we go. So, 24. For there shall arise false Mashiachs and false prophets shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, Behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. For as lightning come out of the east, and shine even unto the west, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Hello?
Hello, Shalom, this is Kim.
How you doing, Kim?
Good, and you?
I'm doing all right. He said, Wherefore, for wheresoever the carcass is, there will the eagles be gathered together. So again, you see an example of why you seen that animal having the face of an eagle. Then you have the face of the ox, which we kind of touched loosely already. The lion and the man is self-explanatory. He said, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from Alahym, and the powers of Alahym shall be shaken. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in Alahym. Then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of Alahym with power and great esteem. And he shall send his Malachim with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of Alahym to the other. Let's go ahead and look at Exodus chapter 19 and 5. Just go ahead and do it. So you can get a basis of why you see if this man having the face of an eagle. This face of an eagle represents your gathering. Exodus 19 and 5, actually 19 and 2. Exodus 19 and 2. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai and pitched in the wilderness, and there Yashar'al camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto Alahym, and Yahuwah called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Yashar'al, you have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all the people, for all their rats is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a Kadesh nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Yashar'al. So this man just sat back and told you, this is why you see these eagles' wings, and he say the eagles will be gathered, because he's gathering you unto himself. Now we see this lightning and this flash of lightning and living creatures running and returning as the appearance of a flash of lightning. Now, what do you think this would mean when we go back to Ezekiel chapter 1 and you look at this living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of a flash of lightning? What do you think they're running from? What y'all think they're running from?
What they running?
No, and actually when we look at this word here, also to delight in or to accept and run. Because it's sitting there and say living creatures ran and returned as the appearance of the flash of lightning.
Just like when y'all had shown his presence at Garden of Eden, and Adam and Eve ran, but they were ashamed.
Yeah, and that one there is the same, but in this one here, when it said literally talking about the word here is Ratsa, immediately means to run or to delight in. So,
oh yeah, that's different.
It's a little different. This is the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Look at Jeremiah 33 and 10. This is the opposite. Then get you Joel chapter 3 and Zechariah chapter 7, if I'm not mistaken. This is the opposite. See, sinners, remember we looked at the other one. See, he talking about sinners running and hiding in this instance. He talking about you being happy at his return. Remember, he told you when you see all these things, he say, look it up, because your redemption draweth nigh. That's why when he say he seen a cloud or a whirlwind coming from the north, remember what we read in Nahum? He said he make his way in the whirlwind, and the clouds are the dust of his feet. This Yahushua making his way in the whirlwind and the cloud. Remember, he got taken up in the Alahym in the cloud, just like Elijah did. And he told, what did the Malachim tell the apostles? When he got taken up in that cloud, the same mountain that you seen him leave from is the same mountain he will return to. Jeremiah 33 and 10. So when you talk about running or delighting in, it's what y'all need to be thinking about. 33 and 10. Make it 33 and 6. Because it's going to tie into what I'm trying to hit the rest of Ezekiel 43 if I can get there, most I will. I got to crank it up a notch a little bit. Behold, I will bring it a health and a cure, and I will cure them. And I will reveal unto them the abundance of shalom and truth. When you sit back and you look at it, he'll be a health and a cure, and he will cure you to reveal unto you the abundance of shalom and truth. I want you to hold this Jeremiah 33 and look at Ephesians chapter 2. When he talking about revealing you the abundance of peace and truth. This man say when he give you a health and cure, he going to show you his son, which will give you the truth and the peace that you seek after. Ephesians 2, what is here? Talking about verse 4. He said, but Alahym, who is rich in mercy for his great love, that is not what I wanted. Ephesians 3 and 4. My apologies. Make it 3 and 3 though. How that by revelation he made known unto me the mystery, as I wrote afore in few words, whereby when you read you may understand my knowledge in the mystery of Mashiach, which in other ages was not made known unto the sons of men, as is now revealed unto his Kadesh apostles and prophets by the Ruach, that the Gentiles should be fellow heirs and of the same body and of partakers of his promise in Mashiach by the gospel. Wherefore I was made a minister according to the gift of favor of Alahym, working unto me by the effectual working of his power. Unto me, who am less than the least of all Kadeshim, is this favor given, that I should preach among the Gentiles the unsearchable riches of Mashiach, and to make all men see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world have been hid, who created all things, hid in Alahym, my apologies, who created all things by Yahushua HaMashiach. So when we look at him saying that I will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth, it'll be a health and a cure. What did he come to give you health or a cure from? See, look at this third epistle of John. What is it, about verse 4? Third epistle of John, about verse 4. Third epistle of John, and about verse 4. Matter of fact, it's actually verse 1. The elder unto the well-beloved Gaius, whom I love in the truth. Behold, I wish above all things that thou may prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospers. For I rejoiced greatly when the brethren came and testified of the truth that is in thee, even as thou walk in truth. Now he just sat back and say that he wish above all things that you prosper and be in health. When we look at being in health in this Jeremiah 33, let's see what it means. It means literally a restoration. It is arka. It is a restoration. Restoring of soundness or wholeness or be made up. You know, in Yeshayahu chapter 1, Isaiah, he said you have no modifying ointments, you can't be bound up. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at a wholeness or a restoration, this refers us right back to what Paul mentioned in 2 Corinthians chapter 5 about the gospel of reconciliation. So when we look at the health and the cure, what was the disease? The disease was death. The wages of sin is death, but the gift of Alahym is life in Yahushua HaMashiach. So in order for you to get this health and cure, to have the abundance of shalom and truth revealed unto you, then the Son has to be revealed unto you. And when we get to Ezekiel 43, this is going to make even more sense. In order for you to be healed, in order for you to be cured, in order for you to get truth, in order for you to have peace, the Son must be revealed unto you. It makes what he said in Matthew 13 and 15, which he was quoting Isaiah 6, even more powerful when he said they have ears but they cannot hear, and they have eyes that they cannot see, and their heart is hard that they can't understand and be converted, that I should heal them. That's why he say, will the Son be revealed? The Father revealed him to whom he please. You know what I'm saying? Say, no man can come to the Father but by me. So understanding that the revealing of the Son of the living Alahym is to reveal to you for four things: for health, for cure, for peace, and for truth. For without these things, you will not have eternal life. As he just stated, these are the unsearchable riches of Mashiach. You can't put a price on these things because these things are eternal. You know, we was on a conference call with some dudes that didn't believe in the Mashiach Saturday night. Some of the most idiotic, dumbest men and women that you'd ever want to speak to. You know what I'm saying? And the reason being is because they don't really understand, or matter of fact, I didn't even say understand. Let's just put understand to the side. They don't actually know what the book actually says. You know what I'm saying? Don't even actually know what the book actually says. So when we turn around, because me and Troy were talking about this when we were riding, listening to these clowns talk. They actually heard me say this because I didn't know how to mute the Bluetooth. You know what I'm saying? On the phone. So I just turned the volume down, but they still heard what we were saying anyway. And what I was saying was this, is that this is a blessing to be able to know, hear, understand, and receive the testimony of Yahushua HaMashiach, because people are not hearing it. So therefore they can't get help and they can't be cured. And they can't get shalom and they can't get truth because he say, I am the truth and the way and the life. This is what the man said. He said, if you know the truth shall set you free. If you know the Son, you will be freed from sin. This is what he's telling you. He's telling you you'll be freed from death. People are not hearing that. You know what I'm saying? What is it that we can say which makes us so great and why we get to hear? There's absolutely nothing that any of us can say why he would choose to have that type of mercy. There's nothing that we can say. There's nothing that anybody did to deserve that. There's nothing I did. Well, hush. Come on back to Jeremiah 33. Verse 7. And I will cause the captivity of Yehuda and the captivity of Yashar'al to return, and I will build them as at the first. And I will cleanse them from all their iniquity whereby they have sinned against me. I will pardon all their iniquities whereby they have sinned and where they have transgressed against me. Which goes back to that Hebrews 9 which we looked at about him purging your conscience from dead works, but the sprinkling of the ashes of a heifer to the unclean. How much more shall the blood of Mashiach, who offered himself through the eternal Ruach, purge your conscience from dead works? This man's blood can wash away your sins and make you a king and a priest. And it shall be a name of joy and praise and the honor before all nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them. And they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I procure unto it. Thus saith Yahuwah. Again, there shall be heard in this place, which you shall say be desolate, without man and without beast, even in the cities of Yehuda, and in the streets of Jerusalem, that are desolate, without man and without inhabitant, and without beast. The voice of joy, the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom and the voice of the bride, the voice of them that shall say hallelujah of hosts. For Yahuwah is good, for his mercy endure forever. And of them that bring the sacrifice and praise into the house of Yahuwah. For I will cause to return the captivity of the land as at the first, saith Yahuwah. Also, we can look at him causing the captivity to return at the first, and cause it to return to what it was meant to be from the beginning. Let's look at Joel chapter 3, why you say you'll be running with delight when you see this lightning. See, you see this lightning, you will rejoice because your salvation is near. You would have no need to fear. That's why Paul said, let's not be like we have hope like not other people. You have a hope. You shouldn't be around here looking crazy. Joel chapter 3, probably about verse 15. Joel chapter 3, verse 15. Y'all ain't got no business around here looking crazy. None whatsoever. Say the sun and moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shining. Yahuwah shall also shall roar out of Zion. Because remember, he said his voice sounded like many waters. That's what he said in Ezekiel 43. And utter his voice from Jerusalem. Because remember, he was coming through the east gate. And we're going to look at those gates that are on the east and just run through them real fast. And Shamahim and the rat shall shake. But Yahuwah will be the hope of his people and the strength of the children of Yashar'al. And what is everlasting strength? Trusting Yahuwah is everlasting strength. This is the day that you have been waited on. Like he told you, I think in Isaiah 25, he said, this is Yahuwah. We have waited for him. You have waited for this salvation. You rested your whole life in hope in it, and he rewarded you for it. That's why you'll run with delight. Let's look at Zechariah chapter 7. You know, I had ran past. Actually, it's Zechariah 8 because I went straight to it. 7 ain't what I wanted. Zechariah 8 and 3. It was just like I had ran across that Anthony Hamilton Pass It Over, which is a song that I listened to quite regularly at one time. Like every day. Sometimes I listen to a song so much I can't even listen to it no more because I've been listening to it too much. You know what I'm saying? I have to have a little break. But in that song, that's what he was talking about, was going home. It was going back home. Man said something real strong. He said this man word alone is what's kept him. This man word alone is what's supposed to keep you from doing anything contrary to his word. His word alone should do it. Because you know who you serve and who you dealing with. For some people that's not enough. His word ain't enough. They need something extra. Zechariah 8:3. Thus saith Yahuwah, I am returned unto Zion. Hold on. He said, I returned unto Zion. You hear what he said? I return and will dwell. Listen to him. And will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem. And Jerusalem shall be called a city of truth, the mountain of Yahuwah of hosts, the Kadosh mountain. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, there shall yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, every man with a staff in his hand for very age. When people sit back and look at old men and old women, what do you mean? Well, the master told you see Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob dwelling in the kingdom, but not old men and old women. Sarah will be there. Rachel will be there. Leah will be there. Rebecca will be there. Isaac will be there. Adam will be there. Eve will be there. Noah will be there. Shem will be there. Do we have to go look in Hebrew chapter 11 and the rundown of all the righteous men of faith who obtained the promise by good report? All those old men and women will be there. He said, the streets of the city shall be full of boys and girls playing in the streets. He said, come out from among them and be ye separate, and you shall be mine, and you shall be my sons and daughters, saith Yahuwah Almighty. You will run in delight. When you see this, man, that's what he's telling you. You see this lightning. When you see the lightning come from the east, you will be joy. His people, sinners, are going to be sad. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, if it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in my eyes, saith Yahuwah of hosts. And y'all sit there and think about that. If it's going to be marvelous in our eyes that this man return, you don't think it's going to be marvelous in his eyes that he take his people and bring them back as one and plant them back into the place where they left from? Now you see why you would be running at the appearance of lightning or running with delight. Your redemption is come. This is what we look to and hope to. Let's look at Ezekiel 48 about them gates. Let me reread Ezekiel 43 before we read Ezekiel 48. Go back to Ezekiel 43. I know it's 43 and 1. It's a lot to look at, and I don't have a lot of time. Ezekiel 43. Which means I have to carry it over, which I have no problem with that. Ezekiel 43 and 1. Ezekiel 43 and 1. And it says, afterwards he brought me to the gate, even the gate that looked towards the east. And behold, the esteem of Alahym came from of Yashar'al, and behold, the esteem of the Alahym of Yashar'al came from the way of the east. And his voice was like a noise of many waters, and the earth shined with his esteem. And it's funny how they want to say, I just seen a dude talking about the deification of Mashiach, and the book just said this man is the Alahym of Yashar'al. Because Revelation 1 to say the man's voice sounded like many waters. Ezekiel is just seeing what John saw. Ezekiel said in the vision that he was given, it said this man is the Alahym of Yashar'al. And it was according to the appearance which I saw, even according to the vision that I saw when I came to destroy the city. And the visions were like the visions by the river Kibar. And I fell upon my face. And the esteem of Yahuwah came into the house by way of the gate, whose prospect is towards the east. So let's look at Ezekiel 48 and 31, and let's see about those gates that are on the east. And actually, we'll look at verse 32. 32 is right what we want. I guess we'll read 31 for clarification if somebody's got a smart mouth. And we'll deal with these three names here. I guess we'll get to the other things that I'm talking about, the pattern and all that, because we won't have time to hit that, and I'm not going to try to rush and scramble it. So what we're really looking at in these initial verses of what we're looking at this evening is the coming of Mashiach. But when we get further down in this chapter, it's going to kind of switch. It's going to switch. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to go to talking about something different in the same breath. So I say, man, Yahuwah willing, each week we'll pull one chapter from Ezekiel 40 through 48 and look at them, to understand them, to know exactly what he is seeing and what he is not seeing. So you can understand it, because these are the things that pertain to our salvation and the kingdom of New Jerusalem, which is to come. 48 and 31. And the gates of the city shall be after the names of the tribes of Yashar'al, 3 gates northward, 1 gate of Reuben, 1 gate of Yehudah, and 1 gate of Levi. And at the east side 4,503 gates, one gate Joseph, one gate Benjamin, and one gate of Dan. So what we see in these three names of these three gates on the east side, of which Ezekiel seen this man coming from the east side, knowing in Matthew 24, he just say, just like the lightning come from the east. And I'd have to look at the map to see if the Mount of Olives is near the east side of the gates. I'm not sure, so I'm not going to say that till we actually look at it. We have Joseph, which means Alahym has taken away my reproach. We have Benjamin, or Benjamin, which is the son of my right hand. And we have Dan, which is the judge. So when he sees this vision of this gate, standing at this gate, and he sees the esteem of the Alahym of Yashar'al coming through the east gate, this is what he's seen. The removing of dishonor by the son of my right hand, who is to judge. So that means we would have to look at these three things to see how Yahusha would be Alahym, removing the dishonor, to be the son of my right hand, to judge. Now when we were talking to these clowns Sunday, they mentioned Psalms 110. So it would only be right if we looked at it. So let's look at it then. Psalms 110. Psalms 110 and 1. Psalms 110 and 1. Yahuwah said unto my master, sit thou at my right hand, until I make thy enemies thy footstool. Yahuwah shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion, rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power. In the beauties of Kadesh, from the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. Yahuwah hath sworn and will not repent, thou art priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The master, listen to what he said, the master at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen, he shall fill the places with the dead bodies, he shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way, therefore shall he lift up the head. He just sat back and said the master at his right hand will strike through kings in the day of his wrath. Let's look at Yeshayahu chapter 2, Isaiah chapter 2. Gonna go through this here. Because all we're basically looking at is the returning of Mashiach. This is what Ezekiel 43, 1 through 3 is telling you about. He's getting a reiteration of what he's seen in the first chapter of the coming of Mashiach. That's what he's seen. And he says in verse 5 that the master at thy right hand will strike through kings in the day of his wrath. This is one of the things we hit those sinners with. Hold on one second, y'all. This is one of the things that we hit those sinners with. When they came at us about this particular verse, and we're not going to go read it. And that's was they was like, okay, what does this mean about him sitting on the right hand? How can Yahusha sit on his right hand? And we went to Joseph. And we went through that. And we showed him how this man suffered like Mashiach suffered. And he ended up sitting at the right hand of Pharaoh. And it was really just that simple. You know what I'm saying? There's your witness for that. On top of, because Benjamin means the son of my right hand, which is another reason why we're looking at this. And then also judge, or Dan, which is another reason why we're looking at this, because he is speaking of judgment. The son of his right hand is executing judgment because he said he will strike through kings in the day of his wrath. This is what he said he will do. Let me say that. I just mentioned something else. Let's look at Jeremiah 25 and 31. Let me take that track. And then Isaiah 63 and 1, if I'm not mistaken. See, when you hear some of this stuff, this ought to make you want to get right, because this what this man say he coming by to do now. Which also will tie into what we looked at, those four faces, or the lion. Is it 25 and 31? Yes, it is. 25 and 30 is a little bit better. But I'll take 29. Matter of fact, I'll take 26. Jeremiah 25 and 26 to drive the point home. And all the kings of the north, far and near, one with another, and all the kingdoms of the world, which are upon the face of the Arats, and King Shishak shall drink after them. Therefore thou shalt say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the Alahym of Yashar'al, drink ye and be drunken, spew and fall. Fall and rise no more, because of the sword which I send among you. It shall be, if they refuse to take the cup at thy hand to drink, if thou shalt say unto them, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, ye shall certainly drink. For lo, I begin to bring evil on the city which is called by my name, and should you be utterly unpunished. This man just sat back and said, if I brought this on Jerusalem, don't you think I ought to bring it on you? Shishak is Babylon, people. And also you see, he said the destruction of the city and the destruction with fire. And that is what goes on in Revelation 18 when he say Babylon will be destroyed within an hour and he will rain fire upon it. Which I don't even have time this evening to really go on that in greater detail. That's why I went ahead and mentioned it, because I know I said that earlier. It's Revelation 18, he's talking about the destruction of Babylon, that great whore, that great city. Ye shall not be unpunished, for I will call for a sword upon all the inhabitants of the Arats, saith Yahuwah of hosts. He's going to call for Mashiach. That is the sword of Alahym. He's calling for his son. By fire and with sword shall Yahuwah plead with all flesh, and the slain of Yahuwah shall be many. The son of my right hand will judge, because he will strike through kings in the day of his wrath. Therefore prophesy thou against them all these words, and say unto them, Yahuwah shall roar from on high, and utter his voice from his Kadesh habitation. He shall mightily roar upon his habitation. He shall give a shout as they that tread the grapes against all the inhabitants of the Arats. What roars? Lions roar. This is why you see a lion. This is why you've seen a lion in those faces with Ezekiel. This is why you've seen a lion. That's why you've seen the eagle. Because he's going to do 4 different things. He's coming as a man. Because he's got to fulfill Genesis 9 and 6. Because every eye shall see him, even them that pierced him, and they shall even wail because of him. Even so, so be it. Because Genesis 9 and 6 said, whosoever sheddeth man's blood, by man must his blood be shed. So he's got to have the appearance of a man. But he's got to have the appearance of a lion, because he's coming up out of his thicket. And he's the destroyer of the Gentiles. And he's on his way. And he's roaring out of Shamahim. Just like we read in Ezekiel 43. His voice is like the sound of many waters. He is roaring. The ox is for the sacrifice, for the removing of sin, which we will see that in a minute, time that in Psalms 110. And the eagle is gathering into you to your place, like he did when he brought you up out of Mizraim, or brought you out of captivity, which is why you will run with delight, the same way your forefathers ran with delight. If you go read Exodus 15, when you see the song that Moses sang to Yahuwah upon the deliverance from Mizraim. Praise Yahuwah for the word. You see this man talking about treading them grapes, and lifting up his head by the brook in the way, and striking through all these dead bodies. And we're going to read this in Revelation 14 in a minute, because we got to tie that cloud coming from the north scripturally. Because he said he come with clouds. Well, where's the cloud coming from? From the north or upwards. That's why he tell you to lift your eyes up. Your redemption draweth nigh. Look to the north where the cloud comes from. Verse 31. Even a noise shall come even from the end of the Arats, for Yahuwah have a controversy with the nations. He will plead with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword, saith Yahuwah. Thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation. A great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coast of the Arats. Let's look at that. He say a great whirlwind from the coasts. Well, let's see something about these coasts. He said from the coast. Let's see what the word tells us about that. If it wants to cooperate. She don't want to cooperate with us right now. She wants to do what she wants to do. Let me read verse 33 for a while I'm waiting on this. And the slain of Yahuwah shall be at that day from one end of the Arats even unto the other end of the rats. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered, nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. That's how Yahuwah feel about a sinner. That's how he feel about him at his return. When we look at coast, it means the flank, the side, the extreme parts. Border, coast, part, or side, or recesses. I meant to read the Hebrew word. My apologies. We didn't let this. So he's raised up from the coast of the Aras or the side. Again, you're sitting back looking at he's being raised up from that east gate. Because he's coming back to the Mount of Olives. And he will come back and he will slay these people where they stand. We do not want to be on the edge of that sword. At the same token, this is Yahuwah fulfilling his promise and the wrath that shall be executed. And if you actually want to see a man coming and his feet standing upon a mountain and coming down and slaughtering, all you got to do is look at Exodus chapter 32. When Moses was on the top of that mountain where his feet rested, and he came down and he joined himself with the Levites, and then they slaughtered all those who were contrary to the word at that time. And they did not lament, nor bury, nor gather those dead bodies. There would be no crying for a sinner. There would be no mourning in Shamahim for not a single solitary one of them. That's a hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, but that is the reality of the situation. Because he said he's going to plead with all flesh. When we look at pleading with all flesh, let's just look and see what it means. And we'll just kill all doubt. And just won't even deal with it. We just look at it. We know what plead mean in English, but let's just look at it in our language. And it's the shafat. And that's just to judge, to govern, to vindicate, or to punish. Or to be judged, or to execute judgment, or damn. Look at this. What's that? Psalm 99. Look at Psalm 99. And then we'll swing back and look at Psalm 110. Look at Psalm 99. This man coming back, he coming back to judge. And then get you Hebrews 9 and 27. Now you can see the importance of why he's coming through the east gate. He's just not coming through the east gate for no reason. He's coming through the east gate to execute Benjamin, to be the son of my right hand, to execute judgment, to remove the dishonor, or to remove you from captivity, and to also to judge. Psalms 99 and 1. We'll look at Psalm 96 right along to it because it's right by to it. Yahuwah reign, let the people tremble. He sit between the cherubims, let the earth be moved. Yahuwah is great in Zion, he is high above all the people. Let them praise thy great and terrible name, for it is Kadosh. The king's strength also love judgment. Remember, he say the rod of thy strength. Well, knowing the law, the strength of a man is his firstborn. This is what Deuteronomy 21 tell you. Yahusha is Yahuwah's strength. He say the king's strength now. Love judgment. Well, we know from John chapter 5, right? And I'm just going to read it to you real fast. John chapter 5, verse 21, 22. The Father judged no man, but have committed all judgment unto the Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honor not the Son, honor not the Father which hath sent him. So, of course, the Son would love judgment. Since Yahuwah said he's an Alahym of judgment, and he loved judgment. The king's strength also loved judgment. Thou dost establish equity. Thou execute judgment and righteousness in Yaakov. Psalms 96. Look at verse 10. Say among the heathen that Yahuwah reign. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Let Shamahim rejoice, and let the earth be glad. Let the sea roar in the fullness thereof. Let the field be joyful in all that is therein. Then shall all the trees of the wood rejoice. That's why he said you'll run when you see the lightning. You will delight. Before Yahuwah, for he come to judge the Aras. He shall judge the world with righteousness, and the people with his truth. He coming to judge you with his son now. Let's look at Hebrews 9 and 27. Let's see if 9 and 27 what we want for this. We'll look at 9 and 25. Nor yet that he should offer himself often as the high priest enter into the Kadesh place every year with the blood of others. For then often must he suffer since the foundation of the world. But now once in the end of the world he hath appeared to put away sin by the sacrifice of himself. Which is why you see the ox. Him putting away sin by the sacrifice of himself at his return. This is why you see the ox. As it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment. So Mashiach was once offered to bear the sins of many, and unto them that look for him he appeared the second time without sin unto salvation. That's why he say the people will be willing. They will be willing in the day of thy power. They will be willing. Come on back to Psalm 110 as we get ready to wrap this up. For this evening anyway. And we'll come back to it. I don't know why I thought I was going to be able to hit all 12 of them verses. So, when we look at verse 3, right, and I'll just paraphrase it for time's sake, and Most High willing, we'll come back. When he say the beauty of Kadesh from the womb of the morning, thou hast the dew of thy youth. This is talking about Mashiach being made as he was in the beginning, because the dew being representative of the Ruach. So he's at the same as Adam was in the beginning. Not even say Adam was being the son of Alahym as Adam was. He ended up being what he was from the beginning, from the womb of the morning, or coming up out of the grave. So when you see that he'll strike through kings in the day of his wrath, I know I mentioned Isaiah chapter 2, but you see all the kings running up under cliffs and rocks and hiding. The same thing you've seen in Revelation 6 and about verse 15. Because that's what he's coming back to do. Remember, all the kings of the earth gathered armies up against him to fight against him. And he will strike through them. That's when we look in verse 6 and you see him judging among the heathen, filling them up with dead bodies. But then we're going to look at when he say he'll drink of the brook in the way. Let's look at what this means in Hebrew about drinking in the brook of the way. Let's look at this brook, which was something I had in my head last week. If it's going to go into what I was thinking about last week, we'll see. And it's Nakal. And it's a valley or a torrent valley or a palm tree. What you sitting back drinking of the brook in the way there, he shall lift up the head. This is basically referring to the tree of life. Because we know way is the way to the highest that covers sins, is to rise up and to be high, to be lofty. This is rum. To raise up or rear children, to cause to grow up. When he talking about lift up the head, and we look at head, which is head, top, summit, upper part, chief, total. The choicest or the best. So he'll rear up children to take you to the choicest or to the best, or rear up children to take you to New Jerusalem. And let's turn around and let's look at 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13 to go along with that. And then we'll look at something in 2 Thessalonians chapter 1, if I'm not mistaken, about him executing his wrath. We know about Revelation 3 where he said if you overcome, that he'll cause you to sit in his throne like he sat in his father's throne. So basically what we're looking at when you see him coming through this east gate, what we're actually looking at is you're seeing Mashiach coming to remove the dishonor of death and captivity. Not only just death and that captivity, but also the captivity and the reproach that has been on Yahuwah's people. We also can read that in Revelation 22. We talk about the reproach and the curse will be no more, because he's coming to remove that. So this is how you see him coming as Joseph coming through that east gate. And then you see him coming as Benjamin, or the son of my right hand, because he's coming to take his throne and reign as a king. But then you also see him coming as Dan, and he's coming to judge, which is why he's coming through this east gate. The same way we looked at how the apostles were preaching to the 12 gates, or to the 12 tribes, or to the people. 1 Thessalonians 4 and 13. And then we could look at Revelation 21, I should say, and Revelation 3 and 12, before we look at that 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. I got 8 minutes. 4 and 13. So when you're looking at that roaring and that voice of many waters, this is that trumpet, this is that shout. This is your redemption. This is right here is where it's Romans 15 and 4. that through the scriptures were written aforetime for our learning, that through the scriptures we might have comfort and hope. This should give you comfort and hope, knowing that your Alahym shall return like he said he would, and it had been prophesied that he shall return just like he said he would. And we got to hit that cloud too, I'm sorry. And that you will be avenged. And that you will be avenged. That you will be, he said, men ought to pray and faint not. He said, truly, I will avenge them speedily. He said, nevertheless, will the Son of Man find faith when he come upon their wrath? Will you do what? Will you set yourself in office like we read in them Levites in Chronicle 31? Will you set your office and sanctify yourselves in Kadeshness? Will you sanctify yourself by the faith that's in Yahushua? Will he find that with you upon your return? That's why you'll be running with delight and not running in fear like the sinners will be. That's the difference. But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. It's a sorrowful thing for them sinners. They ain't got no hope. For if we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Alahym bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Master, that we which are alive remain until the coming of the Master shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Master himself shall descend from Shamahin with a shout. He will roar, the voice of many waters. With the voice of the Ark Malachim and with the trump of Alahym, and the dead of Mashiach shall rise first. Then which we are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the cloud to meet the Master in the air, and so we shall ever be with the Master. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So y'all should be comforting each other from time to time to know that the man is coming. All you got to do is stand firm. You know what I'm saying? Be ye steadfast in Yahushua HaMashiach. For your work in the Master is not in vain. Just like the law told you, this is not a vain thing for you. This is your life. Your work is not in vain. You should comfort each other with those words and know the man is coming to get you. You know what I'm saying? It says, I think Yahuwah even direct. This is probably about the third time, maybe even the fourth, that song passed me over as led the son that I would preach on. Because that's what that song is talking about going home and the comfort to know that the man is coming. And that he's going to do exactly what he said he's going to do. There's comfort in that when you believe that and you know the man is coming. People sit back and say, oh, he's not coming. The man is coming. If he wasn't coming, he wouldn't even told you he would come. And he said he's rearing up children to bring them into the highest place. This is why we're looking at this. Because he said to meet them in Shamahin. He's rearing up children. You are his children. He birthed you. He fed you. He nourished you. He raised you up and brought you up so he could bring you to the high place. Revelation 21:1. Then we'll swing to Revelation 14 and 14 because we there. Then go to 2 Thessalonians chapter 1. And I saw a new Shamahin and a new Arats. For the first Shamahin and the first Arats were passed away, and there was no more sea. And I, Yachanan, saw the Kadesh city, New Jerusalem, coming down from Alahym out of Shamahin, prepared as a bride adorned for a husband. And I heard a great voice out of Shamahin saying, behold, the tabernacle of Alahym is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people. And Alahym himself shall be with them and be their Alahym. And Alahym shall wipe away all tears from their eyes, and there shall be no more death, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any more pain, for the former things are passed away. And he that sat upon the throne said, behold, I make all things new. And he said unto me, write, for these words are true and faithful. We ain't even got to read Revelation 22 where he say the curse and the reproach is gone, because he just told you that right there. You got to understand that, right? That right there is the ox. That right there is the man. That right there is him rearing up children to bring them into the higher place. There's no more pain. There's no more sorrow. That's Joseph. Alahym has taken away my reproach. He has taken away the dishonor. He's taken away the sorrow. He's taken away the pain. He's taken away death. He's taken away your bondage and captivity to your enemies by freeing you from the land of your enemy. First, from the land of your enemy being the grave, and second, your land of the enemy being these heathen nations. See, he told him, let me read Micah 7. I'd be remiss. 7 and 10. I just want y'all to hear that before we swing over here. This is Revelation 14 and 14. Just look at Micah chapter 7. See, you supposed to, I remember a lady told me, a girl I went to school with, she like, you shouldn't feel this way. Nah, I got hope. Make it 7 and 15. 7 and 15. You supposed to sit back and look at that there. I got hope. That's why I serve. That's why I wait. That's why he said your word alone is what kept me. That's what the man said on the song. His word alone keep me from sinning because I know the man going to do what he said he going to do. I know the man coming back to get me. You know what I'm saying? You put to sit back and look. I'm going home one day. I don't know where you going. I'm going home one day. I'm going to Jerusalem. I don't know where you going. He said they walked thither with their faces to the ground, saying, show us the way of Zion, that we might join ourselves to a perpetual covenant that shouldn't be broken. According to the days of thy coming out of the land of Mizraim, will I show unto him marvelous things. The nations shall see and be confounded at all their might. They shall lay their hand upon their mouth, and their ears shall be deaf. They shall lick the dust like a serpent. You know what that means, to lick the dust like a serpent? Because he told you that with the curse in Genesis chapter 3, verse 14, that the serpent should go up on his belly and lick dust. They going to hell. Their name is written in their rats. They are doomed for death. And 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 going to back that up, I guarantee it. He say, and they shall move out of their holes like the worms of their rats. They shall be afraid of you who are Alahym, and shall fear because of thee. Who is an Alahym like unto thee, that pardon iniquity and pass by the transgression of the remnant of his heritage? He retained not his anger forever, because he delight in mercy. I ain't even read the verse that I wanted. But praise Yahuwah regardless. He will turn again. He will have compassion on us. He will subdue our iniquities, and thou will cast their sins into the depths of the sea. That's why he say he casts death and hell into the lake of fire. You sit back and you got to sit back and look. He said, thou will perform the truth to Jacob and the mercy to Abraham, which thou hast sworn to our fathers from the days of old. Go over there and look at verse 7. That's what I came over here for in this same chapter. But sit back and look at what he just told you. That again is the ox, and him returning without sin unto salvation. That's the ox that Ezekiel seen in chapter 1. He to subdue your iniquity and cast them into the sea. I do not remember them. I do not acknowledge them. 7 and 7. Therefore I will look unto Yahuwah. I will wait for the Alahym of my salvation. My Alahym will hear me. Rejoice not against me, O my enemy. When I fall, I shall arise. And when I sit in darkness, Yahuwah shall be a light unto me. I will bear the indignation of Yahuwah because I have sinned against him, until he plead my cause, until he execute judgment. And execute judgment for me. He will bring me forth to the light, and I shall behold his righteousness. Then she that is my enemy shall see it, and shame shall cover her, which said unto me, where is Yahuwah thy Alahym? My eyes shall behold her. Now she shall be trodden down as the mire of the streets. And again, Most High willing, I'll get to it on Shabbat night. This goes back to what we were looking at about the running with delight. You will see that when we're looking at the destruction of the city in Ezekiel 43, is the destruction of Babylon, and the people rejoiced and sang to Alahym because he rendered vengeance on your enemy, on her that said, where is your Alahym? Because this rotten bastard, this beast, this serpent had the nerve, the people had the nerve to say, who can make war with the beast? Who is like unto him? And he shall be trodden down like mire in the street, and all those that are like unto him as well. This supposed to bring comfort to your heart if you alive in them days and times, knowing Yahuwah will execute his fierce wrath upon all the wicked, and that he will vindicate all the righteous, the ones that are alive, the ones that have been in prison, even down to the ones whose blood have been shed from the foundation of the world. Revelation 14 and 14. Because he said he seen a cloud coming from the north, right? And then he seen Jeremiah say, I seen somebody coming with a roar. Man, they came to tread some grapes. Tread some grapes. I mentioned Isaiah 63. He said, who is this coming from Basra with garments dyed in red like he's been treading the fat of the wine press? Man got blood all over his clothes. The blood of the grape, the blood of the people. Because the sick, you'll throw your sickle into the earth. The harvest is ripe. It's time to reap. That right there will make you get your mind right. If it don't get your mind right, something wrong with you. And I looked and behold a white cloud, and upon the cloud one that sat like unto the Son of Man, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. Because he said, I make my way in the whirlwind. He kept telling you about that whirlwind. That's that cloud. It's the coming of your Savior. Will you be ready? He say, watch and pray, lest that day come upon you unaware, and he tear you into pieces and appoint you your portion with the hypocrites and unbelievers. And another Malachim came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, thrust in thy sickle and reap, for the time is come for thee to reap, and the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another Malachim came out of the temple, which is in Shamahim, he also having a sharp sickle. And another Malachim came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had the sharp sickle, saying, thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the arats, for her grapes are fully ripe. And you see that fire and that sword, what we read in Ezekiel chapter 1. You see that fire and that sword in Ezekiel and in Isaiah 66. That man coming back with fire and sword. That man coming back, Joseph, Benjamin, and Dan. Alahym have taken away my reproach to be the son of my right hand that I may judge. That's why he coming through that east gate. That's why he coming through that east gate in Ezekiel 43. All we had to do was just look and see where that east gate is at. But this ain't nothing to be playing with. And the Malachim thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the arat, and cast it in the great winepress of the wrath of Alahym. And the winepress was trodden throughout the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse's bridle, by a space of 1,600 furlongs. Blood everywhere. Dead bodies from one end of the earth to the other. Because he's going to strike through and fill the bodies up, to fill the countries up with dead bodies. Because he's going to execute this man's wrath. See, Psalms 110 is more than just making him a priest after the order of Melchizedek. This is talking about this man executing judgment. This man is going to come back and execute. He got to do Dan. He coming through the east gate. If he going to come through the gate of Dan, he got to do what Dan do. He got to judge. He got to. Or he wouldn't be Dan then, now would he? 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and verse 8. We'll stop right there. Most High willing, we alive. Make it 6, or make it 5 or 4, and we'll pick it up, most high willing, from what we didn't complete this evening. I thank Yahuwah for the word. So that we ourselves esteem in you the synagogues of Alahym for your patience and faith, and all your persecutions and tribulations that ye endure, which is a manifest token of the righteous judgment of Alahym, that you may be counted worthy of the kingdom of Alahym, for which ye also suffer. See, it is then a righteous thing with Alahym to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. And to you who are troubled, rest with us, when the Master Yahushua shall be revealed from Shamahim with his mighty Malachim, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not Alahym, and that obey not the gospel of our Master Yahushua HaMashiach, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Master and from the esteem of his power, when he shall become to be esteemed in his Kadeshim, and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. See, that's why he said you'll be running with delight. But hallelujah for Yahushua in the word. We stop right now.